talk to Heather Kennedy.
Okay, let's get this mask on and let's get your temperature.
I'm sorry?
I have a mask for you to put on.
Oh, no, thank you.
No, you have to wear it while you're in the building.
Okay, I have a medical mask exemption.
But anyone that enters the building has to wear this.
Okay. Yeah, I have an exemption for the mask policy. It's a prescription from a doctor.
Okay, do you need to sit outside and I can locate the person that you want?
I'm trying to reach Heather Kennedy.
She's not in.
Okay.
But you can have a seat out there.
Is she expected back in today?
I'm not sure. Once you step outside, I can go and check with one of the clerks. Because I can't have you in the building without a mask.
Why is that?
That's our policy.
Okay. Well, I mean, if it's just a policy, then I can step aside and wait.
No, I have to have you outside the building.
I'm sorry?
I have to have you outside the building. Hello.
I got some masks in the car, brother. You need it.
I have.
No, I medically can't tolerate one. But thank you.
You brought in front of you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that.
Go ahead,
No,
brother.
you go ahead. Sweet.
Sir, I
Well,
don't
mine
have
might
to
take a minute. Go ahead.
What's the reason for your visit? What's going on here? Okay.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Do I get to stick my head in this thing?
Yes, sir. Just in here. What's the reason for your visit?
I'm just coming from California, and I've got Charco in my foot, and I got an infection in one of my toes. And they were telling me that the tips probably going to have to be amputated. So I'm looking for the hospital. I haven't found it down here.
Which hospital are you looking for? Because they do have several.
Well, I don't know. Can y'all take care of it here?
We can have a nurse to look at you,
Okay.
but that's pretty much
Okay.
I'm gonna let you fill out one of these. Once you complete that, then you can bring the clipboard back so you can take your papers up here to the clerk. You have to get in. You can bring the clipboard back because I have several sheets here. Yes, sir.
This first one?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Hello.
You all right?
Well, I'm trying to get this young man to put a mask on or step outside
Okay.
until I can take care of who he's looking for. But
Gotcha.
he refuses
Gotcha.
to.
All right, sir.
Hello. How
How
are
you
Danny?
doing?
Hi.
Officer Renfro, the VA Police.
Okay.
All right, so part of our policy is you have to have a mask on inside the facility.
Yeah, I have a medical mask exemption.
Unless you can provide that,
Yeah, I have it.
you cannot be in the facility without a mask. So while you're looking for it, let's step outside.
Oh, I have it right here on me.
Sir, while you're looking for it, let's step outside.
I thought you said if I can provide
You
it.
can show me outside, and
Okay.
then you can come in. If you have it, let's go. Let's go outside. and you
Okay.
can
So,
show me.
this is a policy?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay. Is there a law
It's
with this?
issued by the President of the United States of America.
Okay, but that's not a law, right? The president doesn't make laws. The legislators.
Sir.
I'm just make sure I understand what's going
listen,
on.
you
I'm
come
here.
outside.
I'm here to talk to Heather Kennedy. I've called her.
You can talk to her after
Okay.
you put the mask on. I'm asking you politely, please come outside with me and we can go over this.
Okay.
Okay? And I'll be glad to have you come back in as soon as we're done with it.
Okay.
Okay? This is a clinic for the veterans.
Uh-huh.
I want you to absolutely get any service that you're entitled to.
But you're discriminating.
Well, no, sir. No.
Okay,
No. I'm
'cause
following,
I
I'm following orders.
Right, but I
that
have a
from my
disability that
PA
prevents me
leadership.
from wearing a mask, and you're saying because of that I have to wait outside like a dog, and I can't get services inside.
No, sir. Listen. This whole facility is made for veterans, so it has nothing to do with animals.
Well, you're treating me differently than everyone else, right? That's discrimination.
So the only people that get treated differently are people that do not have a mask on.
Okay.
And once you put the mask on,
and I
you
have
can
a
come outside.
medical reason for that, so,
Okay, so
it's a disability.
So you have to
and I-
show me before you come into the
Okay,
clinic,
based on what?
sir.
What? No, because Section
as a-
504 of
as
the
a-
Rehabilitation Act is a federal law. Are you familiar with that? That governs anti-discrimination
So-
on the
so
basis of
as
disability.
a
Please don't,
federal
hold on, please don't
officer-
interrupt me.
As a
I
federal
need one
officer,
person speaking at a
I'm very
time.
aware of the laws
Okay.
that apply to the federal government.
So Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act, who's the coordinator for this facility? Maybe they can help de-escalate and help explain, you can't treat people with disabilities differently than people, that don't have the same disability, right? And so you're required to have a primary and a secondary person assigned to this facility as a Section 504 coordinator. So if we can get them, we can help bridge the communication, make sure everybody understands each other. Can we get them, please?
Sir, until you put on a mask, you're not going to be able to spend any time in the facility.
Okay, this is a request for accommodation under Section 504
Okay,
of the Rehabilitation Act.
So this
Okay?
is what I can do for you. I can see if the patient advocate
Okay.
is available to come out
What
here and
about
speak.
the Section 504 coordinator?
So all the other titles that other people have are not related to my position as a police officer.
Okay.
So
Right, but I'm making a request to you. You're saying you're a representative of this facility, right?
I'm saying that I am a federal police
Okay.
officer with the Department
So
of
I'm-
Veteran Affairs. I'm not saying that I represent the entire facility.
Okay, well, you work here, yes?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm making a request to you as an employee at this location to get me a disability coordinator, a Section 504 coordinator, so we can facilitate the disability request that I just made to you and that you are denying, okay?
No, I'm not denying it.
Okay, well, then I can go in, right?
No, sir. You
Okay, so
cannot go
if I
in
can't
unless
go
you
in,
have
then
a
it's a
mask.
denial. Because my request is that I can go in without a mask and be treated like everybody else. Because of my disability, I can't tolerate a mask.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
Okay.
Yes,
So then
absolutely. And you told me
A
that you
disability
had-
coordinator will help
and you told
facilitate
me that
access.
You had that in your backpack
Yeah.
to show me. That's all I asked for.
Well, it's
That
medical.
would be an
It's a medical
exemption.
document, and you said
Right.
you're law enforcement, right? So
I
you're
am
not
law
privy to
enforcement.
my medical records.
Okay.
My medical
So would
records
you
are protected.
Would you prefer to have a
A
medical person
disability
out
access
here?
coordinator.
I don't know if we have one of
Okay,
those
well,
on this
I'll wait. You can try and find one. You're required to have a primary and a secondary. It's a federal law. You said you're familiar with it. Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973. The VA submitted or published a memo in January 2020. It's actually a handbook. It's like a 40-page handbook. That they did an internal audit and said, hey, the VA is in gross miscompliance or non-compliance with that federal law. And they gave themselves a year to make sure that all VA staff were issued that handbook. And so January 2021 was when it was supposed to be like, hey, we gave ourselves a year to make sure everybody's in compliance, all the facilities. So are you familiar with that? Like, did you get that handbook?
Well, I wasn't here in 1973.
No, 2020.
So,
They published the handbook in 2020 because, it's a 50-year-old law, right?
Okay,
And they did an
alright,
audit and said, hey,
so-
we've been violating this law for 50
clearly-
years.
So clearly, you don't want to hear anything I have to say. Hey, Phil, can you go see if Heather Kennedy is here? Ask
Yeah.
her if she can come step outside.
Yeah, I'm here to speak to Heather.
Okay. Well,
Like,
we're gonna
we've
see
talked
if we can
on the
get
phone. I couldn't get her yesterday.
Well-
Somebody made an appointment for me today.
Okay.
And I'm trying to figure out what that appointment is, where I need to go, and I can't get any information on the phone, so I'm here in person.
Okay. Well, I understand about the phone issue, and I want you to get that assistance. Okay. So
Okay.
hopefully she's here.
Mhm.
If not, maybe we can find some other person that can make a decision. Okay.
Okay. Will you look into seeing if you have a Section
Well,
504 coordinator?
that's what we're going to do. We're going to go
Okay.
up those steps.
Great.
If Heather can't identify that person,
Mhm.
I will see if the chief medical officer can identify that person.
Okay.
Because I don't want you to be denied anything here at the VA. I'm a veteran just like you, sir. I'm a warrior, one warrior to another.
But you're denying me access right now.
I'm asking you to give me the opportunity to confirm what you're claiming.
Okay.
Okay, so that's not denying you access.
It is, because
Well, you don't
everybody
have any
else can go
proof,
in.
sir, of what you're telling
And
me.
and the Section 504 doesn't require proof. And you say you understand the law, but you're breaking the law. Like you're illegally denying me equal access to the goods and services of the VA because of my disability.
No, sir, it has nothing to do with your
Okay,
disability. That
I
is
can't
your
wear a
opinion.
mask because of my disability, right?
That's
and
your claim.
you're not letting me in because I'm not wearing a mask. Is
So
that correct?
You're claiming that is your disability.
Right.
I don't know that,
Right.
sir. I don't know that.
Okay,
I have no idea whether
right.
it is or
and,
so.
and there is
We're gonna find out.
there's no legal requirement to produce anything under Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act.
Okay.
Right?
So
you have
since
to
then-
err on the side of not discriminating against people with disabilities.
I would agree with that. Yes.
Okay, but that's not what you're doing.
Okay,
You're
so-
kicking me out because I can't medically tolerate a mask.
No, I'm not kicking you out.
Okay, then is there a place we can wait where we're not like right here in the
She
doorway?
is coming out here shortly, and she knows this gentleman.
Okay.
What we can do is, we can issue a face shield in lieu of a mask. And that's something that you would have to wear and would accommodate whatever disability, maybe a breathing condition that you might have. And that's something that can be done. So do you want to wear a face shield?
What kind is it? Because I've tried them in the past at other VAs. Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's like a band that goes just right here on your head, and then it's like a plastic shield that goes in front of your face. It's open on the bottom and like
Okay.
on the sides. So it
Right, it like
restricts-
covers like everything, right?
It's actually what the VA has for people with like breathing restrictions, disabilities.
Yeah, I've tried that in the past. The problem with that is I navigate via my auditory senses, and then what these devices help tell me. And so I get, it blocks what I can hear because it throws back my voice and it throws back my breath, and it disorients. Does that make sense?
Okay.
I challenge you, like
I don't
blindfold
think- I
yourself
don't think it
and then put
covers the ears
right,
down.
but blindfold yourself, put a shield on, and then anything that comes out of your mouth, your breath, your voice, like it's gonna block your auditory sense, right? And then it's gonna make it nearly impossible for you to navigate.
Well, that is an option for you. If that's something you still can't do,
Yeah.
then the only other option is that we can act as the liaison and see if your medical team will be willing to see you outside of the phone.
Yeah, and I prefer
We have
telehealth.
to ask. And
I haven't been able to get a hold of the people on the phone. That's the
Okay.
problem.
So he doesn't want to wear a mask. He doesn't. He feels like
Michael.
a shield could be
Yeah.
an issue.
Heather.
So we
Hi.
can help him if we can. And he's asking for a certain type of coordinator that is outside of our scope of knowledge.
Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973. You're familiar with the Americans with Disabilities Act?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the ADA applies to state entities and below. The federal government kind of exempted itself, like when Congress passed the ADA in 1990, it exempted itself from the ADA because it falls under Section 504. Section 504 was the foundation that the ADA was built upon. Does that make sense?
So, Michael, we
Yeah.
don't have one of those coordinators here. We
Okay.
have talked about that. I talked to you about that a couple of days ago on the phone.
Well, you said
What
you
what
weren't sure if you had it or not.
We don't have
Okay.
anyone here at this, and we more than likely won't have one for a while.
Okay.
It takes, I'll follow up with Vernon Stewart, like I said, because he's the one that brought it up in one of our
Yeah.
meetings.
Did you get the handbook I emailed you the other
I
day?
did.
Okay.
Now, did I sit down and read it yet? No, I haven't.
Okay. Well, can you disseminate it? Like, because the officer said that he's not familiar with it at all. And if you would disseminate it to all the employees, and it says in the handbook that it's supposed to be disseminated to all VA employees
Sure.
by January 2021, and that's
Okay.
come and
I
gone.
will, just, I know that you're very anxious and you have a lot of things that you're very passionate about, and I'm not disagreeing with any of them, and I think that we should have had all these things implemented. I'm not disagreeing with it.
So I actually hear because I
What
got
are you here
a
for,
text
yeah?
yesterday,
Yeah.
and I think I left you a voicemail yesterday. I got a text about an appointment somebody scheduled for 9 a.m. today.
Okay.
And in the text, I don't know if you're familiar with the texting system, but
Yeah.
it gives you an option to like do Y17 to confirm and like D18 for details, but there's no like cancellation option unless you call a phone number. So I did the D18 for details. It didn't give me details. It just said like behavioral health. It didn't say where. It didn't say with who. It didn't say how. Like if it was here in person or if it was on the phone or what is the VRC
Do you
thing?
have it
The
on
text.
your phone where I can
Yeah,
look at
yeah,
it?
yeah.
Okay.
And I tried the number. I have to turn off my voiceover stuff so that you can actually use it. Hold on. It's in blind guy mode. But there's a number associated with it. I called the number because it says you call the number if you need to reschedule. And so hold on. And I went to the community care, and I think it was the community care in Biloxi. But that got kicked out to the Biloxi, what do you call it?
On that, right?
Yes, sir.
The
Operate with them, buddy.
the operator. I went to the operator and I asked, to speak to community care because I think they're the ones that scheduled it, but I can't confirm that. So, hold on.
Is Dr. Amin here today?
She is. But if he's seeing services other than primary care, like
Yeah, I just
behavioral health or like
Messages.
I just wondered if she was here.
yeah,
just in case we need to let her know.
Are you here for primary care today?
No, he's not.
I don't know what it is. Like the only that's what I'm trying to show her this
Trying
text.
to pull the text up for the appointment notification. It sounds like it's something behavioral health related. Because Michael's got primary care. I'm helping him with something on the outside actually, so that's why I was surprised to see it here.
We discussed one option, if he is unable to wear a mask, that we could just let whoever he's here to see. So if we don't know
All right, there it
who
is.
and see if they're willing to see him over the phone.
You see it? Or I need to turn off. Is it blacked out?
I can't
Okay.
see anything.
What
Okay, all right, so let me, do you mind if I just, okay, community care, so this is all community care. So it's saying this is not an appointment at the VA, please call this number. And then that's why it's not allowing you to cancel because it isn't officially scheduled yet. This is like a notification saying
Well, it
we're
says
trying to
February
schedule-
17th, right?
Oh, it does? VA has scheduled your, well then, yeah, somebody, so
And this
Huh.
this came in at like 11 something yesterday, so they gave me less than
Okay.
24 hours notice.
that doesn't sound
And then
right.
I know that's why I tried calling you, and I got your voicemail
Okay.
because I called the number here, and it got me to the community care waiting line, and then the one in Biloxi, and that one's broken because half the time it kicks you out to the operator, which it did. And they said, yeah, can I help you? I'm like, yeah, is this community care? And then the operators there are really bad with customer service. They cold transfer you without saying anything. So they
Which is so true. I
I hate
absolutely
that.
agree with that.
So they-
I've talked and talked and
So
talked
they
about it.
usually they have attitude with me too. But anyway, they sent me back to the community care thing, and it went back to Spears. I think the people that I have several voicemails with them, and they haven't called me back anyway. So then I tried calling you yesterday and left a voicemail. And
Yeah.
and then
You probably have. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm
Since I can't get anybody, I was like, let me come
multitasking.
here
I
and
know.
find out what's going on.
And I'm sorry that this happened. Let me look at your consult real quick.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pull you up. We're gonna get this settled.
Okay.
Figure out.
I mean,
where you're supposed
if
to
you
be.
need to call me from your office so you can pull up my thing, that's
I
fine.
can run back and forth.
No, we don't. You just call me on the phone.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So, are you guys still here?
Yeah, we're still.
So when did you
What
start?
was your name, sir?
When did you start working at the VA?
What was your name? I'd let you know. My name is Officer Renfro. Your
Uh-huh.
name is Mr. I know your first name is Michael. I heard
Okay.
her say
Well,
that.
then that's fine. Just
Can I call you Mr. Michael?
whatever you want to call me, man.
Yeah, can we
Yeah.
get your name, full name, please?
No.
Your last four?
No. Yeah. So you've been working with the VA for how long? You said that you haven't been here since 1973, but when did you start?
It's not really relevant to what we're doing here today.
Well, it is. You said you're familiar with the federal laws, and this handbook was supposed to be disseminated between January 2020 and January 2021. So if you've been with the VA since then, like, you should have received it. And if you didn't, then that's not on you, right? That's on somebody that didn't disseminate it to you.
So as a police officer, you know, my job is to enforce criminal law,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Yeah.
be familiar with criminal law as it relates to the federal government.
Uh-huh.
Administrative law is not the same thing. And I know
It's
you're-
not administrative. Like, anti-discrimination, like, is a big thing. Like, discrimination is a big thing, right? And anyone that's party to discrimination is subject to a federal lawsuit under Section 504.
I'm sure you're correct about that.
Yeah. So, like, this is an incident of discrimination currently, right now, because you're having me do business at the doorway rather than inside in an office, like everybody else.
We're certainly trying to find combinations for you.
Yeah.
To assist.
Yeah.
Getting what you need done today.
Okay. Well, I mean, hear me out. Like, she just confirmed that what I've been telling you, right? That I sent the
Yes.
handbook, that the VA is invokes non-compliance. The VA, it came from the director of the VA. Like, they did an audit, which they're required to do. I don't know, it's like semi-annually, but every few years, to check their compliance with federal laws. And they said back in 2020, they identified that the VA as a whole, the cemetery, you can call the cemetery, you can call any clinic in the country, you can call the administrative buildings and ask for a Section 504 coordinator, and you're gonna get the response basically that you gave, like, what now? Right? That Heather gave the first time I talked to her. She's like, I don't know what that is. And so, okay, well, that's a problem, especially when the clientele that the VA is supposed to serve is people with disabilities. Like that position is supposed to be at every installation that has 15 employees or more. They're required to have two, a primary and a secondary. And that way, if one person's off or sick, somebody can cover down. And that's to facilitate equal access, no matter what the disability is, right? And since those people aren't here, there's an extra burden on you guys to go, act out of ignorance of the law because you don't know it. When they're supposed to have somebody that has the training to do it, and it's just not fair to you. I think that's probably Heather. Hello?
Speech on.
Oh, this is off. Hello? Hey, Heather. Uh-huh. Yeah. No. Uh-huh. So the community wellness, they contacted me. There's a guy named Kevin Harry, I believe, was the provider assigned from the community wellness, and he reached out, and the first issue we had was he said, here, fill out these forms, and I couldn't read them because he sent them in image format. I said, hey, I need these in OCR format so I can read them to fill them out, and he said that he wouldn't be able to provide that. So the first problem with them was that they're not accessible. It's the same problem I'm having with the VA, not being accessible. And then the second problem, he said that he wasn't qualified with a particular type of expertise in behavioral health that I'm needing, and that he would not be a good fit. So he passed that on to his superiors, and one of the directors of the community wellness called me, I think a few days after that, and said that they're gonna send the referral back to Optum to reschedule. And that was the last thing I had from them. I think that was probably 14th maybe. Yeah. And I've spoken with Optum at length, trying to get them to fix it before they try to bill the VA or say I didn't show up to appointments or whatever. But it's a big mess.
Have a good day. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I spoke. So if this one is specifically for that wellness thing, if today's appointment that they made unilaterally was for that, I don't know who needs to call them and say, hey, your director said you guys were canceling this referral and sending it back to Optum. Don't schedule any more appointments for the veteran. But I think that's weird that it went through the VA system and not like a phone call from them. That's why I don't know if this is the wellness thing. Because usually the provider, if it's the outside of the VA, they contact me directly, and they don't go through the VA system. Yeah. Okay. It sounds like they're just trying to get paid or be able to build a VA. I spoke to Optum yesterday, and I'm trying to remember the name of the lady. Sonia Cantrell, I think. She's like a supervisor with the scheduling department. I spoke to Sonia and gave her the criteria that they need to use to actually make sure they have a provider. Because this is like the third time now that they cold schedule without confirming with me that the provider has the expertise in the specific area of behavior, mental health that would be able to help me. And they set up the appointment. The provider contacts me. I talk to them and confirm that, hey, do you have anybody that can do this, that can assist? And then they say no, or they will try to schedule an appointment anyway and then bill the VA, and then after like 2 appointments, then say, oh yeah, we don't have any expertise for this. Like after getting more details to confirm, like yeah, you do need this kind of expertise, and we don't have that. So that's been the problem for like 2 years now. I've been trying to get scheduled, but Sonia said she took the criteria yesterday, and that she's trying to refresh this referral and find a fit. But then, I was also asking her about this appointment. She didn't know anything about this appointment because it went through the VA system. And that's why I tried calling that number, I tried calling you, and not getting any answers. I was like, well, let me just come up and see if I can talk to somebody. That's with Optum. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. She's the one that's, and I didn't get her extension. Usually I do. So I'm sorry I didn't get her extension that time. But she said that she's the one that's going to be working this referral for me for Optum.
54, go ahead.
My 20 is over. You can contact me in the office, and I'll be
Well, what kind of
10-4.
what kind of complaint process do we have for today's hostilities? Because I had some guys. So what's the complaint process for today's hostilities? I had guys, threaten me and force me out of the building because I can't tolerate wearing a mask. I tried making a Section 504 request for accommodation, and they disregarded it, so they denied it. So what's the complaint process for that? Yeah, on whatever these officers are, and then whoever's at the desk at the front. I don't know, I have to go back and hopefully I'm recording. I don't know if I am or not, but hopefully it is. I have to go back and listen to it. For the complaint? Okay. Well, anytime somebody says they're law enforcement, I guess I have to operate under the assumption that they're carrying up to lethal force. So the threat would include up to lethal force, if I don't comply. Right? Isn't that the implied threat when you have somebody that has a gun telling you to do something? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, well, he denied the Section 504 request for accommodation, and the receptionist also did the same. So, I don't know, if you're saying that you don't take complaints on behalf of the VA police, I understand that. I'll address it with them. But if you... Mm-hmm. Oh, so you take the complaint, you pass it to the police, and then they investigate themselves and tell me that they didn't do anything wrong? Mm. Yeah, absolutely. It's abuse of power, and So I didn't feel the person to see if he has a badge or a gun, because that's not safe, right? I have to just take somebody's word. Anybody can come up and say they're a police officer, and if I don't do whatever that person says, I'm likely to be, beat up or put in chains or shot or tased. Who knows what level of force the person's willing to use. I'm assuming it's up to including lethal force. Excuse me? No, they didn't articulate. No, that wasn't articulated. But that's the assumption that you have to operate under. You have to take it from the vantage point of someone you can't see. If somebody says that they're law enforcement and they start ordering you around, it's a dangerous situation in the world today. But law enforcement kill 3 people a day, and that's just what's reported with the FBI statistics. So, and that's by guns. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I think they're still here. Let me ask him. If I would not leave, what action would you take?
Sir, we want to accommodate you, okay? As we spoke earlier, you're a veteran, I'm a veteran. This is the Veterans Affairs, okay? We want you to get service. We're just asking you to give us the opportunity to provide some type of accommodation other than what we're required to enforce, which is the mask. That's what we've asked you for.
Okay, so you can, are you saying that you can enforce the mask policy? Is that what?
We are enforcing the mask.
Okay, so what level of force would you use to make sure that I'm wearing a mask or that I would leave? That's what I'm asking.
Level of force has nothing to do with enforcement of your...
That's absolutely what the word enforcement means.
That you're putting words together that I did not say.
Well, I mean, literally the word enforcement means to use
so-
force, to bring force into a situation.
I guess you still have Heather on the phone, so...
She is on the phone, yes.
So
She wants to know for a complaint, like, what the threat is. So if I want to come in and get services right now...
Yeah, she's asking you what the threat is.
Right.
You told her that you've
Yes.
got threat.
Right. So
you
can
have
I go
to
in
ar-
right now?
No.
Okay.
You have to
If I try to go in
articulate-
right now, what will you do?
Sir,
No,
you
hold
should
on.
just articulate to the patient.
So I'm trying to get you to
what
articulate
your-
to me the threat.
What your feeling of a threat is.
Okay, if I try to
because-
go in, what will you do? Will you physically stop me from going in?
Listen, Michael.
Will you put your hands on me if I try to go in and get services?
I want you to get services.
Okay,
And
but
we're
if I
trying
try to go
provide you a
in,
way.
if I try to go in, get equal access, and I can't tolerate a mask because of disability, will you physically put
There
hands
are
on
other
me?
things besides the mask. We've offered you an option.
And I told you why that's not a viable or reasonable option.
And you
Okay.
said you had a medical condition.
Yes.
I asked you, could we get a medical person up here to evaluate that for you?
Right. It's
And-
already, it's in my record, man. Like, she knows it, she's aware of this.
But she's not a
Yeah.
medical person.
Right.
Okay, I'm
She has
talking about
access,
I'm
right.
talking about a nurse or a doctor. Okay, we need
Okay.
that, a nurse or a doctor
Okay.
to come evaluate that so they can look in your record
Right.
and confirm that you have this
Right.
exemption.
Yeah.
And you're good to go then, sir. I would be glad to help you go anywhere you
Okay,
need
so
to
let's
this facility.
facilitate that then.
Okay, let's facilitate that.
Okay.
You want a nurse or a doctor?
Sure. Somebody that's in my care team.
So are you assigned to a team here?
No.
Or you haven't received medical services yet?
No, my primary care is in the community.
Again, the medical staff are going to need to know your information to look up your health record. Is that something you want to provide?
I have the prescription in my bag.
Okay.
So you're going to be able to provide them with that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I will go talk to the CMO.
Okay.
And,
See if we can get a nurse.
What's the CMO's name?
We'll tell you when she comes up here.
yeah,
okay?
she'll be here.
I mean, I think I've spoken to her. Just what's her name?
It's a chief medical officer.
Right, but what's the CMO's name?
Can you check on that for us? I got it.
Heather, do you know who the CMO is? Amin. Yes, Dr. Amin. Okay, thank you. Right. Yeah, and it's part of ongoing discrimination case. Yeah. And so that's the problem, is that you don't have a Section 504 coordinator that's trained in making that determination. You have people that are operating under this executive order that's not enforceable. It doesn't override federal law. If you actually pull it up. Well, I'm trying to make sure that there's justice. Like there's discrimination that's happening right now. This guy says that he will not allow me in, and it's because of disability. So it's ongoing discrimination. Right. And well, you wanted information on what I'm trying to accommodate what you want. That's not true. I've had VA personnel say that. No, that's not true. That's not true. We have recordings. Hold on, Heather. We have recordings from the Gulf Coast Medical Center VA admin staff confirming that they have exceptions to employees.
Ma'am?
They make exceptions to
Come on in.
employees to come in and not use masks.
We'll get you one up here.
So they're making exceptions to employees, and it's under Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act, but they're not making exceptions to the veterans. And that is discrimination. And we have this on recording. All right. Okay. And that's fine. That accommodation can be made to veterans, right? If that's a standing accommodation that's made to employees, that can be offered to veterans. Like, oh yeah, we have a process for that. Here, we're going to use the side door. We're going to take you in places that are away from the public spaces, and we're going to treat you just like we treat the employees that we make exceptions for. And that's how you process the accommodation. You don't do this. You don't use law enforcement to threaten and intimidate somebody from enjoying equal access under the law. That's criminal. So if you... Well, but yeah, I understand. I hear what you're saying. Yeah. Right. Well, that's right. That means it's gross miscompliance. That's exactly what the handbook says. Exactly what the audit that the director of the VA discovered and published in 2020. And nobody's doing anything to change it. So if we have to have veterans coming up here and challenging that and showing the world, hey, this is how we're treated, this is the discrimination that's ongoing that the director of the VA identified in 2020, then that's what we have to do. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's right, but this law has been in effect for nearly 50 years, right? 1973. Just because the VA does things slowly it's not a valid excuse. Like they've been put on notice. They self-identified as being violators back in 2020 and gave themselves a year to fix it. It's 2022. You know? So what if it takes a public spectacle, if it takes publishing, to news channels the conditions of the VA, the gross miscompliance and the violations of the law, and to address the officer's point that he's here to enforce criminal statutes and not civil ones, well, but that's what he said.
I said administrative is not what I enforce. That's what I said. Don't misuse my words.
Yeah, I understand that. I fully understand that you guys have not been trained. I told the officer that earlier. Like, he hasn't been trained on this. He's ignorant of the law. Like you weren't trained on this. You haven't reviewed the handbook. And that's why I asked if you would disseminate it to him, to everybody here at this facility, because it's required. Like, it said it was supposed to be disseminated to every VA employee by 2021, by January 2021. And so, you're in possession of that. If you're not disseminating that, then I would say that's you're violating that handbook, because somebody needs to facilitate equal access here. And if you don't have the assigned position, somebody needs to step up and say, you know what, a patient advocate seems like a really good place to start for that. And I think you're trying to do that. Well, just to the staff here. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm sure you can distro every employee in the building with a matter of minutes. You can get the distro list and put it on an email, right? Okay.
Howdy. Hello.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I work for the federal government. I know there's lots of red tape and bureaucracy, and nobody wants to read the policies and procedures. It's a big issue. It's been 50 years. Yeah. Well, so I understand what you're saying, but you have to look at it from the perspective of the veteran, right? The veteran has had enough. Like, how many veteran suicides do we have a day? Like, veterans drive and kill themselves in the parking lots of VAs because of this crap. Because they're denied access, because they're treated like crap. And it's serious. I take this serious. And the numbers we had before COVID was 23 veterans a day. We don't know what those numbers are today because it's gone through the roof. It's incredibly disturbing. And you're saying we just need more time. Well, that's okay. That's another 23 veterans at least every day, where you're wanting time to figure out how to send an email. Yeah, because I want equal access, and I understand that I'm not going to get equal access. That's what you're saying. That's what this officer's saying. Do you have to have a scheduled appointment to come in? Right. Right. I clearly have a purpose. No. To ensure that the Section 504 is upheld, to ask questions about what's the testing protocol, can children get tested here? How do I bring dependents? Because that's one of the things that you can bring dependents for testing or inoculation. Like, what's the process for that? Right, they're supposedly getting somebody from medical to come review my medical record. Maybe I can ask those questions to them, unless you have the answers. So I have purpose for being here. It's not just figuring out what's going on with this appointment they made yesterday, which we still don't have an answer. You think it's the wellness thing, but I don't know if that's the case. Yeah. Well, I want to make sure that I'm not penalized for not making an appointment that I was given less than 24 hours notice, and then... Okay. For a good reason. There's been ongoing discrimination since I moved here. What have you done since July? But you didn't find the handbook. Right. Because... Right. It is a policy. It doesn't need interpretation. It's very clear. It says each facility with 15 employees or more are required to have 2... Please don't interrupt. Heather, please don't interrupt me. I didn't hear what you were saying because I was trying to talk. Right. But the individual policy does not trump the federal standard at the national level. Just like local ordinances can't trump state law or federal law. Yeah. And it's a policy. So to address the issue with the mask policy, it's an executive order from the president. That is not law. In his order, if you actually read it, in his order, it says that it's not to supersede any current federal laws. Which means it cannot override Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act. Which means if you guys are trying to enforce the mask policy against Section 504, then you're breaking the executive order. Like, this officer's breaking the executive order. Reception. Well, I got an answer. I'm actually talking to you right now, and I tried making phone calls and couldn't get you on the phone. You said, what is it going to accomplish? So far, my first goal of identifying the issue with the appointment yesterday, that has been accomplished. I did, because calling you wasn't getting anywhere. Calling the community care. Okay, I had less than 24 hours to figure out what's going on with this appointment. Do you see that? It's a double standard. I don't know why you're arguing with me. I don't know why you're arguing with me in the first place. You're supposed to advocate for me, not argue against me.
I contacted them, they said, I contacted them, they said that they'll be out. He's still in front of that.
You had since July. Say what? Right. So, but okay. How have you facilitated me getting the appointments that I requested last year? Because I still don't have any of the appointments that I requested. I just asked for 3. I asked for mental health, neurology, and orthopedics. I still haven't had any of those, and it's been almost a year. Right? It should have been. Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. Didn't know that position existed until just now. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we can come back every day with more and more vets and until we get equal access, and it will be a public affairs nightmare. You're right. Like, if that's the pressure it takes to actually make the change, because the bureaucracy waiting for somebody to figure out how to create a position that should have been done 50 years ago, like, that's not working, clearly. Okay, well, let me clarify. I don't think you're a bad guy. I don't think this guy that's, would be willing to use physical violence against me is a bad guy. I think it's part of the program. It's what we were trained to do is follow orders, and we're sadly poorly trained. Like, I keep admitting that. Like, you guys were not trained for this. You were not trained on Section 504. That's the problem. But just because you have lack of training doesn't mean you can support a system that violates rights on a regular basis. And if you do, then I'm not going to judge you bad, but if you want to judge yourself bad, that's on you. Like, I think you're trying, but you're limited in what you have. Now, I think that you dropped the ball because you knew what I needed last year, and there was no follow-up. All the follow-up has been on me to say, hey, I'm still not getting care. And I don't know how many countless hours I have calling different levels of the VA, Optum, community care, patient advocates, admin staff, trying to get this resolved. Hour after hour after hour, week after week. Like, at what point do you think a veteran, what most veterans I think would give up, would just say, no, screw the VA, would stop going at it, or it would push them over the edge and they'd go down to some very self-destructive roads. Like, I'm trying to fix this so that doesn't happen to anybody else. And I just keep getting pushback and people saying, oh, I need more time. Meanwhile, every day, at least 23 veterans kill themselves. Like, okay, time is measured in lives. And if the VA staff actually took that to heart, there would be a drastic change. If they recognize that any delay that I have can cost 23 veterans their lives, there would be a completely different shift on how we approach care with the VA.
was supposed to come.
Does that make sense? I know you want to get off. I don't think you're a bad person. I think you're limited by the training and what you have available. But I think you can do better, and I think everybody here can do better. So, and I appreciate you coming out and talking to me.
She said she was going to need some background, and then show you out.
But I'll let you go, and then I'm still trying to get answers to the vaccine and the testing protocol here. So I'm waiting on somebody to come out to answer that.
And then Sergeant Moy, he's contacting the DC for verification. So,
Well, I hope they don't backpedal now.
yeah, he's gonna update us here already. Just,
He's got lots of valid.
Okay.
Yeah, that's absolutely good.
Do you know which was the closest one?
we got a facial shield ready. He
Okay.
goes to that.
All right. Thanks, Heather.
So maybe they can do a BBC.
All right,
Video
bye.
appointment or an appointment remotely. But
All right. Heather's off the phone. What's going on with the medical staff?
So we're waiting on them. They're aware that you are here, and they're going to come out and see how
go ahead.
they can help you.
All right. Is it a mean?
We don't know which one it's going to be, but she's been made aware.
All right.
Because she's the chief medical officer of this facility.
Mhm.
So we let her know because we want her to
Say that
be
again.
involved. She has more authority than we do. Okay, so again, I'm
10-4.
wanting you to understand. We're trying to accommodate you to.
Okay. Can I go in and sit down and wait?
No, sir.
Okay. Why not?
Listen, we have benches outside. We have
Okay.
wheelchairs right here that I'll certainly turn one around if you would like to sit down right here.
Okay. But everybody else gets to do their business inside,
Uh-huh.
and I'm being forced
Everybody
to do
else
it.
is complying, sir.
Right. Right. Yeah. I would like to be able to comply. I can't medically. You understand that?
I do
Disability?
understand.
Okay.
I do
So
understand.
it's because of my disability that you are denying me access.
Well, it's just being delayed until we get
Okay.
some more.
Justice delayed is
information.
justice denied.
Well, that may be true in some cases. That's not true in every case.
Okay. But if I try to go in, will you physically stop me?
Sir, I mean, look, as a veteran myself.
Mm-hmm. Can we have just an honest conversation?
Okay,
Okay.
let's have an honest
All right.
conversation.
So if I try to go
Let
in,
me
will
start
you
with this.
physically stop me?
Let me start with this. I know that your name is Michael. My name is Rodney.
Okay.
Okay, how about that? Let's
All right.
just get away with the titles. Okay.
Yeah.
So.
Are you in a uniform?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I am.
Are you armed?
Yes, sir. I am.
Okay. So with lethal force?
Yes, sir. I
Okay.
do have that.
Right. And it is on your
Type
use of
of-
force continuum, right? I'm not a threat to anybody. I do not want any ill will or harm upon anybody. I
If
just
you
want
would like
equal
a chair,
service.
I can have one brought out here to you. Would you like that? And while we're waiting on
Do
the
you
CMO?
see that that's still discrimination?
No, I see that.
Nobody else is forced to seat in the entryway.
Okay, but I'm trying to accommodate
That-
you as an individual myself. I'm trying to come up with something
I know.
until the decision makers
Yeah.
can make a decision, sir. That's all I'm asking you for.
But you're making a decision, Rodney. You're choosing to prevent me access.
I am choosing
Okay.
to do the job that I am hired and paid to do, sir.
Okay.
And if I didn't enforce the mask issue, I wouldn't have a job. Okay, it's that simple. Michael, I know you can understand.
Will you
that
pull up?
part.
I hear you.
You've been in uniform,
Yes,
you know there are rules
I
that
understand.
we have to
Yes,
do that we don't always
but
agree with.
what branch were you in, Rodney?
In Army.
Me too. Okay.
19 Delta Cavalry Scout.
All right. Hey, I did a bunch of stuff with Scouts when I was in the mortars. So
So you know I'm not all that bad. I'm just trying to
hold
do
on.
what I was hired to do, sir.
I have brain damage, so I lost my train of thought there. You said we have to follow orders, right? You remember we had to get. When did you get out?
In 1986.
Okay, maybe you didn't have all the crap we had. Yeah, post 9/11, we had like annual training on like EO and when to refuse orders, right? It's your duty to refuse unlawful orders. Did you ever receive any of that training?
I'm aware of the duty to refuse an unlawful order.
Okay, right. So what you're doing is unlawful, right? And if you're saying that somebody's ordering you to do it, it is your duty to refuse to follow that unlawful order. If you want to pull up on your phone, pull up the executive order. It says it has to be in compliance with all federal law. Then I direct you to the federal law that you're violating, Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act. Okay? So you have to make accommodation. The fact that you're not means that you're in gross violation. You're actually preventing me, physically blocking me access to goods and services. Right? That's a criminal act. You can go to 18 U.S.C. 242.
So you might have standing if you are actually denied access.
I'm currently denied.
Wait, let me finish my sentence, please. When this day is over, if you are officially denied access, then you may have standing. But the day is not over. I am actively working.
Can I go in right now?
No, sir.
Okay, so right now it's denied. Right now you,
It's
Rodney, are
being
denying
delayed.
it.
I'm delaying it.
But
Yes,
if I
sir.
try to go in, what will you do? You still haven't answered that question.
So you are clearly a very intelligent man. I heard you speaking on the phone to Heather. You're very knowledgeable, and I respect.
Have I been respectful?
You have been
Okay.
respectful, yes,
Okay,
sir.
great.
And I've tried to be respectful to you, sir. Hopefully, you've seen that.
I don't think forcing somebody out of a building where I have every legal right to be to get goods and services is being respectful.
Okay.
I respectfully disagree on that point. I think
okay.
your tone of voice, I appreciate your tone of voice. I don't appreciate that if I choose to go in, you still haven't told me what you're willing to do to me.
Well,
which means that I'm left with the assumption that you would be willing to use up to lethal force to stop me from going in. And that scares the shit out of me, man.
Okay, sir.
You can't answer the question. Like, what if I try to go in, what will you do to stop me?
Well,
Will you physically put hands on me and push me out?
so I'm not obligated to respond to that question. Okay?
Right. Yeah.
And I would respectfully ask you to be patient and give me the opportunity to try to get this solved for you without you trying to force your way in.
I'm not going to try to force my way
I'm
like
asking
into
you
you or
to
past
not do
you.
that.
Like, yeah.
Okay, I'm
But
asking
if
you,
I
please
walk
don't do
towards
that.
that door, what will you do?
Well, I'm asking you, please don't do that.
Mhm.
Okay? Please don't.
I have some contact information for you for your records if you'd like. It's numbers to the clinic, numbers to urgent care, numbers to the ER,
Okay.
mental health services, dental services, pretty much a whole bunch of contact information for
Okay.
you if you need to reach someone remotely
Stay right there.
in case you can't come to the clinic. What do you want me to do with this? Do you want to take it? You want
So,
to set it down?
did you get an answer from the medical staff?
Nope.
Okay.
They said they,
Oh, you said in case. Did you say in case?
yes.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear. Yeah, I didn't hear the part with the door
And
opening.
for your future reference, in case
Okay.
you need to get a hold of someone.
So, Michael, I'm
You'd
going to
rather
put
not
this
come
chair
in,
right here
you'd rather
behind
just call
me
it.
in the event that you choose to use it.
Okay.
So it is there for you. Because my legs are getting tired. I'll be honest. So.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm setting this here for you. You can
What is it?
have it if you
You
like.
said it's. I can't read it, man. Like, if you want to read it to me, then I'll listen to you. But I can't read printed material.
Okay, all right.
But if you'd like to read it to me so I have access to
You
it.
have someone who can assist you with that, like at home. Or some, if you need to read contact information, so reach the clinic.
I mean, you can provide it to me verbally or.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
850-636-7000 is the clinic number. If you
Okay.
ever needed to call into the clinic
Mm.
and you had a question about your appointment, you need to reach your team.
Yeah.
The front check-in clerks can connect you to multiple services from that number.
Okay.
So, also, Michael, what that number will do is will prevent you from being routed to the Biloxi operator system.
Yeah.
It'll ring right here at this clinic.
So that's Rodney, right?
Yes, sir.
And then, are you medical or are you?
No, he's my fellow officer.
Okay. What's your name?
Greg Godfrey?
Greg. I didn't know the last part.
Godfrey?
Godfrey?
Yes.
Like the comedian?
Oh, like Gilbert Godfrey?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Same spelling, West End. Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. Well, Greg, if I want to go in and get services, will you physically stop me from going in?
We have a mask policy that we're required to enforce.
Right. So what kind of force will you use if I try to go in and get goods and services?
I'm not going to do what scenario, sir.
Well, I mean, if I'm about to go in, I don't want you to put hands on me because then usually you're going to like cite me for something to protect your use of force.
Okay.
Right? If it's a policy, it's got to be backed by something, right? Are you policy enforcers or are you law enforcers?
Can you provide your name and contact information for us?
What for?
So we can identify you. We have to log this incident.
Okay.
Us contact with
Yeah,
you.
I have no obligation to provide that.
You don't want to do that?
Do not.
Okay. And if I told you to do so, would you do it?
If you told me to?
Yeah.
Based-
give me your name. and
based on
contact
what?
information.
If you
So
told, if
that
it was
I
backed
can
with some kind of
identify
legal authority.
So I want to ask you a question. How could we possibly verify if you are or not a veteran if you can't provide us your name or veteran's ID card?
That's not your function.
It's not my function?
No. I have to verify that with whoever I'm trying to get care with. Heather recognizes me. She knows I'm in the system. She actually pulls up my stuff.
Okay.
So your suspicion that I'm not a
You don't think it would
veteran
be
is
prudent
dispelled.
for a VA police officer to determine if,
That I have standing to be here?
if an actual customer
Right.
is present on the facility or if it's a non-veteran, someone with
Somebody-
absolutely no business to
Sure.
be on the facility.
Right.
You don't think that's prudent for a VA police officer to know?
Depends on the situation. Like if the person is doing what I'm doing and asking for goods and services, and you have contact with staff, with Heather Kennedy, with Amin, these people that know who I am, they know they can verify to you and dispel that suspicion that I'm not a veteran, then you have your suspicion is already quashed, right? Is quashed. Like it's done. If for instance, these people didn't know who I was, and that suspicion was still there, then I would refer you to a DHS memo that was published in 2018 that said that you're gathering content for a story in the foyers, which we're in, right, lobbies, and general area that the public's allowed to be is permitted. It's basically DHS saying, hey, this is an extension of the First Amendment.
And there
Yeah.
are a lot of COVID-19 restrictions and policies in place that
Right.
aren't normally in place at VA medical centers.
Uh-huh.
Another one is only people with appointments are supposed to be
Right.
at facilities.
But that's not here.
And do you have an appointment today?
Yes.
Okay, and what is that appointment?
Are you medical?
Well, we've already established that I'm a VA police officer.
Right. So you don't have, that's privileged medical information. So the
I'm
HIPAA
not asking
protects
what-
that.
Okay,
Right?
all right.
Yeah. Can people come up here if they don't have appointments?
Yes, under normal
Yes.
circumstances,
Right.
when we are not in a pandemic.
No, today, right now. Can people come up here without an appointment? What is the current policy for this
They
facility?
can come, but this is as far as you're going to get is to the checkpoint.
Right.
here. That's as
And-
far as you're going to get.
Okay.
VA
Right.
policy
That's
is
as far as
that
I've
they want
gone.
to limit as much in-person foot traffic as possible.
Right.
And one of those is to ask veterans to only come in if you have an appointment.
Okay.
Or if you need something, if at all able, to do a phone call.
Right.
If it can be done that way
If
rather
you
than
want-
foot traffic.
If you want to get tested or get a vaccine, right? Those are the two of the things that they say, or anybody can come in at any point?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, that's correct.
Right.
But they're going to have you sign up. You'll have to wait.
Okay.
And the only way you can get that is if you comply with the COVID restrictions.
And
which is,
that is incorrect.
what? No, sir, not here. It's not incorrect.
It is, and this is what you're not listening. I hear what you're saying. I know that's your policy. I've read it, and I'm asking, have you actually read the president's executive order? Like you can pull it up on your phone, right? I assume you have a phone. You can pull up the order. You can see where it says it has to be in compliance with all federal law. I can direct you to the chapter and verse of Section 504 of what you're violating. That's a federal law, right? So if you're law enforcement, like you can pull up the law, you can say, okay, look, this mandate says it has to follow federal law. And this is a logical step, right? And for you to physically prevent me access, you're denying me my rights. And a denial of rights under the color of law is a criminal act. It's 18 U.S.C. 242. That's what you guys are currently doing. So you are currently engaged in criminal activity, breaking federal law on federal property.
So
You can pull up your phone and verify this.
We're going to need one of them to come out here, or either we're going to have to take a different direction.
They're coming, right? They said they're going to be here?
It's going to be.
Yeah, you can
It's
go
been
see if we can get an
like
update.
25 minutes, already. Just wondering.
Go ahead and see if you can get an update. So if we are doing what you say we're doing, it's not intentional. We're trying to follow our own policies.
I get you. Is ignorance of the law a valid defense?
And I think we've come up with a number of alternative ways for you to enter the clinic, right?
Like what?
Like the facial shield?
Right, I explained how that's not an accommodation for me because it limits my ability to navigate, right? Because of the sound reverberation off the shield. And this is why having somebody in a position of disability coordinator would help you.
Sure.
Hold on, I haven't interrupted you. Don't interrupt me, Greg.
I'm not sure.
Hold on, Greg. Hold on. Let me explain.
Run into a situation
Greg,
like that.
Greg, you're talking when I'm talking. Okay?
Yes.
Stop.
Okay.
Having somebody in the position of a Section 504 coordinator is somebody that's trained in how to make what accommodations are reasonable, right? You guys aren't trained. I don't blame you for that. I understand what you're saying. Heather's not trained. She recognizes that. I recognize that. That's part of the problem. But it's not for you to determine it. You can't make that denial in person. The denial has to be in writing, and it has to be from a department head explaining exactly how granting the accommodation would fundamentally alter the goods and services. That is the law. So you guys are currently breaking that. And I can cite chapter and verse. I can show you the law if you're interested. Like you're saying you're ignorant of the law, and I can help you. You can pull up your phone and you can look at it, right? If you want to search my bag, make sure I don't have any weapons, so I'm not going to try to do anything while you're looking at your phone, sure, I'll let you do that. It's just going to have like extra batteries in my medical records and crap. I don't have any weapons, man. I'm here to try to get goods and services. You are physically stopping me. Like you're violating my civil liberties. 18 U.S.C. 242. I implore you to look that up. I do not want to sue you. You seem like a decent guy.
Yeah, it's I want to find a solution. I want you to get what you.
The solution would be for you to step aside and let me do my business. That's the solution. That's the legal solution. What you're doing is the illegal solution, which is still a solution, but it's unlawful.
Yeah.
You know.
If you enter the clinic without a mask or what the VA wants visitors abiding by as far as like a mask policy or alternative measures, if we don't do that, then we're in violation of something.
Yes.
So you understand that the situation that we're in.
If you're in violation, if there's not an exemption, which there are exemptions under Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act. So
in saying that, now have a nice day.
Hey, you too.
What's happening?
Oh, we're
They're-
having a conversation out here.
They're denying veteran services.
Oh,
and
looks like you're ready to arrest somebody.
hopefully not. I'm just trying to get help. Yeah.
Okay, Michael, it's Rodney again.
Yeah.
All right. So here's the status. The medical staff have verified through history with you and the VA that you do not have a doctor's exemption for wearing the mask or the shield currently on file with the VA.
Okay.
And without that,
I have it in my bag.
okay, so
So that's what I said from the very beginning. I was willing to show it, right?
but
And then you were
it's-
forcing me out.
but it's not part of your file
I have it from a provider, from the community.
from the community, but that is not part of your file. So if
Right.
you want it into the VA record, your community provider
Yeah.
can have it put into your
Sure.
VA file.
I understand that.
And then you're good to go because you have exactly what we've asked for.
I can provide it right now.
But
Like-
you haven't been willing to do that. And
I said from the very beginning I am. I'm just willing to provide it to medical personnel because it has my private medical information. I'm not willing to give up my privacy and my rights because a law enforcement officer wants a piece of paper. Like, that's what we're waiting on. That's what I thought we were waiting on, is some medical staff to come and look at this documentation. Like, okay. But if you're saying they're not willing to do that, that's, again, gross non-compliance with Section 504.
well, and I'm sure you do feel that way, but that's where we stand.
That's not a feeling, it's the facts.
Oh, okay, that's your position, and you're certainly entitled to that, sir. You know, but As it stands right now, you're not going to be able to enter the clinic.
Okay. So
So if-
no medical personnel is coming to look at my medical records?
That's correct.
Okay.
So I let you know what the process is if you wanted to get into your VA record. That way, when you come in the future, somebody can put your information in right here at the front desk, and they can say, Michael is good to go. And then
somebody-
we would never be called.
Right.
to
So
come
who
check
said that they would honor that if I submit that through the record system? Who said that they would honor me having access to the clinic?
That is the process, sir.
But you spoke to somebody. Who was it? Was it Dr. Amin? Was it?
You can just say that I said that. You can use that as your recording. That Officer Renfro told you that's the process. Okay? And if any liability comes or concern or whatever, you can use my name. Absolutely. Okay? Because I've tried to accommodate every way I can, and this is where we're at this point.
But it's not. Accommodation would be let me do what I'm here to do.
No, letting you do what you want to do.
No,
That's
what I'm here to
you're
do.
saying.
I have official business here, and you're preventing that from happening.
That's right. Yes, at
Yes.
this moment I am.
Okay.
Yes, sir. And until you comply, you cannot come into the building, and we're not going to continue to stay out here and guard the door. If you continue to not comply, sir, we will have to trespass you.
Okay, and what does that process entail?
Well,
I just want to make sure I understand what you're communicating before I decide what I'm going to do. Okay.
so I'm just asking you to understand these are the processes. Okay. Now, if you are willing to allow me to hold your paper and me walk up to that front desk where the check-in clerks are and them scan your information in so that some person that's not a police officer can actually lay their eyes on your documentation, we could probably get this resolved. But you're not willing to do that.
I can't walk up and hand it to her?
No, sir, not at this point.
Okay. Because I don't trust you, man. Like,
Well, and see, I can relate to that. I understand why you say that.
I mean, you physically have me out here, and so you've lost trust from the beginning. I tried to rebuild trust, and you won't tell me what physical actions you're willing to take against me. So I'm assuming it can include the whole continuum of force. Now, going back to you said that you would have to issue a trespass. What does that process entail? Because I need to know that so I can decide what I'm going to do from here.
Yeah, I'm again not obligated to respond to every one of your inquiries, sir. Okay, I know that's where you're trying to lead me down that path.
No, I just want to be informed on my legal status with this
Well,
property.
You may need to read up on that then. Okay, how about that? So.
Okay, so if anything, if there's any entrapment going on, it's because you're not being communicative. You're not facilitating understanding.
There's no entrapment, sir.
Okay.
If you're not going to comply with the policies that are in place, then you
I
have
am in
no
compliance.
standing, and then you have no official business at that point at this facility.
Okay, but I am in compliance. Like, you guys are the ones that are not, and that's the problem. And I've asked you to review the law. I've asked you to look at the executive order. It doesn't seem like you're willing to do that. You're willing to work from your ignorance and trying to use your ignorance as a
I certainly
protection.
can't do it right this minute. I can't
Why
go
not?
back and.
You said we've been here for like 25 minutes.
We've
surely-
been here much longer than that.
Right, so surely you would have been able to pull it up in that time.
Yeah, but see, I have to also observe other things that's going on here at the facility while I'm also encountering you and
Okay.
engaging you with the information. I still have to do other parts of my job, observing, the other interactions that are happening here at the facility. I can't just be a one-track kind of guy.
Okay. So at this point, like, it's my access is denied, just to make sure we're on the same page.
Okay, I can be as clear as I know how to be, unless you were going to comply with the policy that we are required to enforce at this moment. You're not going to be able to come into the clinic.
Okay, but I am in compliance. That's the thing.
You're not in compliance with the policy that we're having to enforce.
The policy has medical exemptions. And so I am medically exempt. I am in compliance.
Yeah.
You guys are not.
The burden is going to be on you to prove that you're medically
Absolutely, in a court of law.
Okay, well
Yeah,
then
the burden
then
isn't
maybe
to prove
should
it to
go-
you.
Maybe you should go file that in the court of law, sir. If you feel like I've done anything to violate your rights.
Yeah, absolutely.
As a veteran. You know,
Absolutely, you
that's
have.
certainly
And you know
not-
you have, Rodney. Like, that's the
certainly
thing.
not been my intent. I certainly have been trying to do my job as a VA police officer,
Mhm.
at the same time as trying to be as respectful to you as a veteran
Right.
as possible. I took this job because I'm a veteran.
Okay.
Okay, that's the reason why I took this, because I appreciate veterans and the sacrifice that they've made, whether it's for one day or 20 years in the military.
Right. So you swore an oath to the Constitution when you joined the Army, and I'm assuming you swore another oath as a law enforcement officer.
Yes.
But you're not upholding that oath. Like, you're not defending against the tyranny that's attacking the Constitution. Like, I have the right to go in there under the Fourth Amendment, right? You can't seize me if I try to go in there. And you're threatening that. If I try to go in and get services, then that's, a seizure. You've actually removed me from here, from being in there. You didn't touch me, which I appreciate you not touching me, but I knew if I didn't move, you were going to touch me. Right?
Well, you certainly are a very smart man. Absolutely, you are.
So you said, you gave me all these platitudes about you being a veteran and stuff like that. That doesn't mean anything if you're not honoring your oath to the Constitution.
Well,
right?
I'm sorry that you feel that way about me, sir. I really am.
Well, I mean, I will follow up.
Okay.
There will probably be some litigation.
And I understand you have to do what you got to do, and you believe in what you believe in, and I don't hold that against you
Yeah.
at all.
Can you
And
at least take down some notes, or do you have a body camera or anything?
I don't have a body
Okay.
camera, but I can take some notes if
All right.
you would like.
All right. Do you have a email?
I do.
Okay. If you tell me your email, then we can communicate via email, and I can send you actually these laws and everything. But if you want to take down notes too, so you can look at it, because I don't know when I'll be able to email you.
Let me put my glasses on because I can't
Okay.
see it in small writing, right, on this small book, so. And if you're recording, I will absolutely be glad to give you my official email
Okay.
address.
Hopefully I am. I can't.
Okay.
I don't know.
So I'll
It's a
tell you-
one-button thing. Sometimes I flip it and it's on or off. And
Okay, so
yeah.
well, you probably could remember it anyhow because it's really easy.
Okay.
Rodney
Rodney
dot Renfro, Renfroe,
Renfro. Okay.
at va.gov.
At VA. That's easy.
I'm the
And
only Rodney Renfro in the whole
M is
VA.
in Mike, or N is in November.
Sir?
And Renfro is M is in Mike, or N in November.
R-E-N as in Nancy.
Okay, November. Okay. All right. Rodney.renfro at va.gov.
Gov. Yes, sir.
All right. So if you want
I'm
to,
the only Rodney Renfro in all 44,000 employees in
yeah.
the VA.
Well, I will email you the handbook I mentioned that Heather has, so you can
Okay.
review that. But if you want to write down, it's section 504. And I can even send you that too. But it's a lengthy act. Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973. And that's the predecessor to the ADA. So the ADA was built on that legislation. And the ADA, like I mentioned, only applies to like state and lower entities. Anything federal that receives federal funding is subject to the Section 504. The other one,
I would be willing to absolutely review
Okay.
it and educate
Yeah.
myself on that. I mean,
Yeah.
absolutely send it to me.
Yeah.
I have no reason to hide any information about myself. I'm a public figure.
Right.
And you send it to me.
okay, and then the other one to look up is what I mentioned earlier, is where what you're doing is criminal and what Greg is doing. It's 18 USC 242.
Okay, 18 USC 242.
Okay.
Okay.
Just so you know, like, ignorance of the law is not a valid defense, right? You know this as a law enforcement officer. If somebody doesn't know that what they're doing is criminal, like, it's not a valid defense. Mens rea, like the intent to do something, is an element in many laws, many criminal laws, but this is not one of those. Like, so sadly, it is what it is. Your training is what it is, and we're gonna try to fix that. So I appreciate you talking to me.
Yes, sir.
and not putting hands on me. I'll give you a fist bump if you're willing to give me a fist bump.
Okay.
All right, and I'll move on. But
Can I ask you a question?
yeah.
You're not waiting on the bus, are you? Have a ride home? Because if you don't, we can provide you a ride.
No, I'm just gonna walk and find out where my day takes me.
Okay, I mean, I just wanted to make sure, sir.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like it's about to rain outside.
Yeah.
That's why I'm asking.
I'll probably get rained on, but
Okay. All
All
right,
right.
Michael, we'll see you next time.
all right, Rodney. I'll email you so you have that too.
Okay.
Yeah. How's it going? Is there an exit out of the compound that way, or is it just that way?
Both of them are exits.
There's an exit on my left too?
Yep.
All right, thanks, man.